Have you ever wondered why, despite your love for God, your talents, and your desire to serve others, you still find yourself struggling financially? Why do those who are handpicked by God often face financial hardship while others seem to thrive effortlessly? Is it a punishment, or is there a deeper divine purpose behind it all? If you have been wrestling with these questions, you are not alone. Many of God's chosen people have faced financial difficulties, not as a sign of His absence, but as a strategic part of His plan for their growth, refinement, and ultimate success. This message will reveal powerful biblical truths about why chosen ones often endure financial struggles. It will shift your perspective, strengthen your faith, and equip you with the wisdom needed to navigate your current season. By the end, you will not only understand your financial challenges differently, but you will also see how they are shaping you for something far greater than you could ever imagine. I invite you to hit that subscribe button and join this journey of abundance. Like this video and comment, "I am ready." Stay with me until the end, as we will also pray a powerful prayer together, one that could open doors and lead you into a season of divine provision and breakthrough. When financial difficulties arise, it is natural to feel discouraged, abandoned, or even forgotten by God. The weight of unpaid bills, missed opportunities, and constant financial pressure can lead one to question their faith, wondering why God would allow such hardship. However, the truth is that financial struggles are not a sign of God's absence or punishment, but rather a divine tool He uses to prepare, refine, and strengthen His chosen ones for a greater purpose. Throughout the Bible, we see that God often allows His people to go through seasons of lack, not to destroy them, but to build them into who He has called them to be. One powerful example of this is the Israelites' journey through the wilderness. After being delivered from slavery in Egypt, they did not immediately enter the Promised Land. Instead, they wandered for 40 years. This period of hardship was not a mistake, nor was it a form of divine neglect. Rather, it was an intentional season of refinement, designed to teach them obedience, reliance on God, and trust in His provision. During this time, God provided for them in miraculous ways. Instead of allowing them to rely on agriculture or trade, He sent manna from heaven daily, reinforcing the truth that their survival was not dependent on material wealth or human effort, but on His divine provision. The lesson was clear: man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. Similarly, when chosen ones face financial struggles today, it is often because God is stripping away their false sense of security in money. Wealth, while useful, can sometimes become an idol, something people depend on instead of God. By allowing seasons of financial difficulty, God calls His people back to full dependence on Him, reminding them that He alone is their provider. This period of hardship is not meant to destroy, but to prepare to cultivate faith, wisdom, humility, and resilience. If you are currently facing financial difficulties, take heart. This is not the end of your story, but a divine process meant to shape you for something greater. Trust that God is working behind the scenes, refining you and preparing you for the blessings that are yet to come. Your financial struggle is not a punishment. It is a tool in the hands of a loving Father who is molding you into the person He has destined you to be. One of the greatest spiritual dangers of financial abundance is the illusion of self-sufficiency. When money is plentiful, it is easy to believe that our security lies in our savings, careers, or investments rather than in God. Wealth, though a blessing, can quietly take the place of God in our hearts, making us more dependent on material possessions than on the One who provides them. This is why financial struggles often serve as a divine lesson, reminding us that our true source of provision and stability is not money, but God Himself. Jesus directly addressed this in Matthew 6:24, saying, "No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money." These words are a clear warning. Wealth should never become our master. If we are not careful, money can slowly take control of our hearts, dictating our decisions, influencing our values, and ultimately drawing us away from God. For this reason, God sometimes allows His chosen ones to go through financial difficulties, not to harm them, but to teach them the foundational truth that He alone is their provider. When resources are scarce, we are compelled to turn to Him in prayer, to trust Him more deeply, and to experience His supernatural provision in ways we otherwise would not. True wealth is not measured by the size of our bank accounts, but by the depth of our reliance on God. When we place our trust in Him rather than in money, we find a security that no financial crisis can shake. If you have God, you have everything. Money has a unique way of revealing a person's true character. Many believe that financial struggles are merely about a lack of money, but in reality, they are often tests of spiritual integrity and maturity. God uses financial hardship not just to refine our financial habits, but to examine the condition of our hearts. When money is scarce, our faith is tested. Will we remain devoted to God, or will we turn away in frustration and doubt? It is easy to trust God when everything is going well, but the real question is, will you remain faithful even when financial success is delayed? Will you continue to serve Him when provision seems uncertain? These moments of struggle reveal what truly holds our loyalty, God or money. If we only worship Him when He blesses us financially, then our faith is shallow and conditional. A powerful example of this is found in the story of Job. He was a righteous man who had great wealth, yet God allowed him to lose everything: his fortune, his health, and even his family. Despite his suffering, Job refused to turn his back on God. He endured the test, and because of his unwavering faith, God restored him twice as much as before. In the same way, financial struggles may be God's way of testing your readiness for greater blessings. If you remain steadfast, trusting Him through the trials, He will reward your faithfulness. Your current hardships are not meant to break you, but to prepare you for the abundance He has planned for you. Pass the test, and you will be positioned for even greater blessings. God never promotes those who are not prepared. If He has called you to something great, He will first equip you through seasons of testing and refinement. One of the ways He does this is through financial struggles. Though it may seem like a setback, this season of lack is actually a time of preparation, where God develops the wisdom, discipline, and strength you will need to handle greater blessings in the future. Managing wealth is a responsibility, not just a privilege. If given too soon, riches can become a burden rather than a blessing. That is why God often allows His chosen ones to go through financial difficulties, to cultivate in them the humility, gratitude, and stewardship required to manage abundance properly. If you cannot handle a little, how can you be entrusted with much? A powerful biblical example of this is the life of Joseph. He was destined to rule over Egypt, but before he could step into that position, he endured years of hardship, betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, and later imprisoned for a crime he did not commit. Joseph's journey was filled with trials. Yet, it was in those dark places that God shaped his character, strengthened his faith, and refined his leadership skills. When the time was right, God elevated him to a position of great influence, where he was responsible for saving an entire nation. Likewise, your financial struggles are not meant to harm you, but to prepare you for something far greater. When God finally releases the blessings He has in store for you, you will be ready to handle them with wisdom and purpose. This is not a delay, it is divine preparation for a future of impact and abundance. Trust the process, for God is making you ready. Not all financial struggles come as a result of poor decisions or lack of effort. Sometimes, the challenges you face are not about what you did wrong, but about who you are in God's kingdom. The enemy knows that if you are financially free, you will use your resources to bless others, support God's work, and break generational curses. That is why Satan actively works to hinder the financial prosperity of God's chosen ones, throwing up roadblocks, causing delays, and creating obstacles that make it difficult to move forward. The Bible reminds us in Ephesians 6:12, "For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world." This means that financial hardship is not always a natural issue, it can be a spiritual battle. The enemy wants to keep you in a state of struggle so that you feel discouraged, distracted, and even doubtful of God's promises. If he can convince you that you will always be lacking, he can weaken your faith and limit your impact. However, take heart. God is fighting for you. The enemy may try to block your financial breakthrough, but he cannot stop God's plan for your life. When you recognize that your struggles may be a result of spiritual warfare, you can begin to fight back through prayer, fasting, and unwavering faith. Trust that God is greater than any force that comes against you, and your financial breakthrough will come at the appointed time. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and what the enemy meant for evil, God will turn for your good. Stay strong, stay faithful, and watch how God moves on your behalf. Not everyone can handle wealth without it affecting their heart. While financial abundance can be a blessing, it also carries great spiritual risks. Many people, when given riches, gradually drift away from God. What was once a blessing becomes a distraction. Instead of using their wealth to serve God's kingdom, they become consumed with materialism, pride, and self-indulgence. The more they accumulate, the more they trust in their possessions rather than in the one who provided them. Proverbs 16:18 warns us, "Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall." Wealth has a way of making people feel invincible, leading them to believe they no longer need God. This false sense of security can cause spiritual downfall. History and scripture are filled with examples of people who prospered financially but lost their spiritual foundation along the way. If God is withholding financial blessings from you, it may not be a rejection, but a form of divine protection. He knows your heart better than anyone and understands what you can handle at this moment. If wealth would lead you away from him, he may be delaying financial abundance until your character is strong enough to sustain it. A premature rise to financial success could become a curse rather than a blessing. Instead of resenting financial limitations, see them as God's loving hand, shielding you from the unseen dangers of wealth. Trust that he will release his blessings at the right time when you are fully prepared to handle them wisely. God's timing is perfect, and his plans for you are always for your good. Stay faithful, seek him above all else, and when the time is right, he will bless you in ways that will strengthen your faith, not weaken it. Not all financial struggles are meant to break you. Some are meant to redirect you. There are times when financial hardship is not a punishment, but a sign that you are pursuing your own plans instead of God's. He may be closing financial doors in one area because he has something far greater in store for you. However, when we are too focused on our own desires, we may resist his redirection, mistaking it for failure rather than divine intervention. Colossians 3:2 reminds us, Set your minds on things above, not on earthly things. This means that as believers, we should not measure success solely by financial gain, but by how aligned we are with God's purpose for our lives. If you find yourself constantly struggling financially, it may be time to step back and ask, am I truly walking in God's will, or am I chasing my own ambitions? Sometimes we push forward with our own plans, convinced that financial success is the ultimate goal, only to find that God is gently but firmly steering us in a different direction. Perhaps He is calling you into ministry, a new career, or a mission that does not promise immediate wealth but carries eternal significance. Rather than resisting these closed doors, embrace them as opportunities to seek His guidance and realign your path with His divine plan. If you are experiencing financial struggles, take it as an opportunity to reflect, pray, and ask God what He's trying to show you. His plans are always greater than ours, and when we trust Him, He will provide in ways beyond what we could ever imagine. What seems like a setback today may actually be the first step toward your true calling and destiny. God allows His chosen ones to go through financial hardship, not only for their own growth, but also to cultivate empathy and compassion for others. When you have personally experienced lack, you develop a deeper understanding of what it means to struggle. This first-hand experience softens your heart, making you more willing to help those in need, be generous when you are blessed, and show kindness to those facing similar challenges. It is easy to overlook the struggles of others when you have never faced them yourself. But when you have endured financial hardship, when you have felt the weight of unpaid bills, the uncertainty of not knowing where your next meal will come from, or the frustration of doors closing on opportunities, you gain a new perspective. You begin to see people not just with your eyes, but with your heart. 2 Corinthians 1:4 reminds us, He comforts us in all our troubles so that we can comfort those in any trouble. This means that the same God who walks with you through your struggles is equipping you to do the same for others. Your season of financial difficulty is not in vain. It is preparing you to be a blessing to someone else in the future. When God brings you into abundance, your past struggles will remind you to be generous. Instead of hoarding wealth, you will recognize the importance of giving, sharing, and lifting others up. You will understand that true riches are not measured by what you accumulate, but by how you use what you have to serve God and help His people. If you are facing financial struggles today, know that God is not only shaping your character, but also preparing you to be a vessel of His love, mercy, and provision for others. For some, financial struggles are not just personal battles, but part of a greater spiritual assignment, breaking a generational curse of poverty. If financial hardship has been a recurring theme in your family for generations, it is possible that God has chosen you to break the cycle. You're not just fighting for yourself, but paving the way for future generations to experience financial freedom and divine provision. Many families remain trapped in poverty due to patterns of poor financial management, fear, lack of knowledge, or even spiritual strongholds that have kept them in a cycle of lack. However, through Christ, these curses can be broken. Galatians 3:13 reminds us, Christ redeemed us from the curse of the law. This means that no matter what your family history looks like, you have the power through faith to rewrite your financial legacy. Breaking a generational curse requires wisdom, discipline, and spiritual perseverance. It means learning to manage money with biblical principles, practice good stewardship, and trust God's provision instead of living in fear of lack. It may also require making difficult choices, such as avoiding debt, seeking financial education, and being disciplined in saving and giving. If you are enduring financial hardship, do not see it as just a personal burden. See it as an opportunity. God is using you as a vessel to bring change. Your obedience today will create a new path for your children and grandchildren. The struggles you face now are building a foundation of financial wisdom and faith that will bless generations to come. Stand firm, trust God, and know that you are breaking barriers that have held your family back for too long. One of the most powerful lessons God teaches through financial struggles is the ability to trust Him, even when you cannot see a way out. True faith is not about believing when everything is going well. It is about holding on to God's promises even when circumstances seem hopeless. When resources are scarce and financial security seems distant, God is asking, "Will you still trust me?" Hebrews 11:1 declares, "Now faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see." This means that faith is not based on what is visible, but on the unshakable belief that God is working, even when we do not understand how. Can you still have faith when your bank account is empty? Can you still praise Him when the bills are piling up? If you can, then you are developing the kind of faith that can move mountains. Angela's story serves as a powerful warning. She was a young woman who came from poverty but worked tirelessly to build a successful career. As her wealth grew, so did her distance from God. She became consumed with financial success, prioritizing money over her faith. She stopped praying, stopped going to church, and placed her trust in her own abilities rather than in God. Her downfall came swiftly. Her business collapsed, her marriage crumbled, and everything she had worked for vanished. But in her lowest moment, she realized that true wealth is not found in money, but in God. She turned back to Him, understanding that no amount of riches could replace His presence in her life. Let Angela's story be a reminder. Wealth can disappear, but faith in God lasts forever. If you are struggling financially, see it as an opportunity to build unshakable faith, the kind that stands strong whether you have little or much. God is your provider, and He will never fail you. You are in a season of preparation, refinement, and testing. When the time is right, He will open doors that no man can shut. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank You for Your divine plan. We trust that You are preparing us for greater blessings. Strengthen our faith, teach us to rely on You, and lead us into financial freedom in Your perfect timing. In Jesus' name, Amen. If this message has touched your heart, share it with someone who needs encouragement. Your breakthrough is coming. From the very dawn of creation, an invisible war has raged quietly beneath the surface of human history, a fierce battle between darkness and light, between truth and deception. It is a struggle so subtle yet so profound that most people go their entire lives without ever recognizing its presence. In the midst of this cosmic conflict, certain individuals have been marked, chosen and set apart for a divine purpose far greater than anything the world can offer. Yet here's the startling truth. Most of these chosen individuals never fully realize it. They drift through life feeling misunderstood, often struggling, wrestling with a deep sense of isolation, uncertain of their purpose, lost in a world obsessed with money, status, and superficial definitions of success. But what if you were one of these chosen ones? What if since childhood, divine signs had quietly been revealing your destiny, yet you either ignored them or simply failed to recognize their profound meaning? What if every struggle you've endured, every victory you've celebrated, every moment of loneliness you've experienced was actually part of a divine, carefully orchestrated plan? Today, you're about to uncover a truth so powerful, so life-changing, that your entire perspective on life may shift forever. If you've ever sensed a divine presence guiding you, if you've ever felt out of place in a world consumed by materialism, wealth, and luxury, pay close attention, because your life holds a purpose far greater, far richer, and far more impactful than anything this world can offer. But first, if you haven't already, I invite you to join our community. Subscribe right now and turn on notifications, because what you're about to discover are truths that can redefine your understanding of who you are and who you were always meant to be. And if you're ready, comment below right now, declaring this powerful affirmation over your life. I trust that God will grant me victory to overcome every obstacle. Each comment will receive a heart from me, as a symbol of standing together in faith. Chosen from the womb, your destiny precedes your birth. From the very moment of your creation, long before you ever drew your first breath or took your first steps, a divine purpose was already woven deeply into your being. Your life was not an accident, not merely the result of chance or circumstance, but a deliberate act of God's perfect design. Jeremiah 1:5 says, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart." This profound truth is more than just poetic. It reveals a spiritual law that applies to every soul marked by the hand of God. Consider Moses, whose life was threatened from his earliest moments. Pharaoh sought to extinguish his life because darkness recognized his destiny even before he himself did. Yet God protected him, placing him safely into the arms of Pharaoh's daughter, shielding him within the very palace that sought his destruction. Moses' destiny wasn't determined by his circumstances, but by the divine calling that was upon him even before birth. Likewise, Joseph's life illustrates this truth vividly. As a young boy, he was given dreams and visions of greatness, yet instead of support and encouragement, he received rejection and betrayal. His own brothers sold him into slavery, unaware they were pushing him toward his divine purpose. It was these very trials, orchestrated not by chance but by divine intention, that prepared him for his eventual rise to leadership. Just like Moses and Joseph, you too have a calling placed upon your life before your very first breath. Your struggles, your challenges, the times you felt isolated or misunderstood were never mere accidents. They were divine signals pointing toward a greater purpose. Many people misunderstand these early hardships, seeing them as misfortune or random cruelty, when in reality, they are evidence of destiny. The enemy recognizes your potential before you do, striving to discourage and derail you from the path you were born to walk. If you've ever felt different, if you've carried within you a deep, unspoken awareness that your life holds greater meaning, pay attention. Your story was written by the Creator himself, each page filled with intentionality, each moment preparing you to step fully into your calling. The battles you have faced since childhood are not pointless. They are confirmation of your divine identity. Your life's struggles and victories alike are carefully woven threads forming the tapestry of your purpose, a destiny that has been calling to you from the womb. The purpose, greater than wealth. God's true definition of success. We live in a world captivated by the allure of wealth, constantly reinforcing the message that true success is defined by riches, status, and material gain. From our earliest days, society conditions us to chase after possessions, believing that luxury and prosperity are the ultimate keys to happiness and security. Yet, how many people reach these heights only to discover an emptiness that no amount of wealth or comfort can fill? God's definition of success stands in stark contrast to the world's shallow measures. It isn't rooted in bank accounts, luxury cars, or lavish lifestyles. Rather, it is anchored deeply in purpose, calling, and lasting spiritual impact. Consider the life of Moses. Raised amidst the unparalleled riches of Pharaoh's palace, he possessed every imaginable luxury. Yet within him burned an unmistakable longing, a divine yearning to fulfill a purpose far beyond his royal privileges. His heart was never truly satisfied until he stepped away from the grandeur of Egypt and embraced the call to liberate God's people. Similarly, Esther enjoyed a life of opulence in a royal palace, yet it wasn't until she courageously embraced her divine purpose, risking everything to save her people, that she found true fulfillment. This profound reality reveals that true abundance is not measured by material accumulation, but by alignment with God's purpose. The world glorifies wealth as the ultimate sign of achievement. Yet countless people who have chased financial success remain restless and fearful, constantly anxious about losing what they have gained. Conversely, those who walk confidently in their God-given purpose experience a peace and satisfaction unmatched by earthly riches. They carry a powerful presence, clarity of direction, and inner peace that money simply cannot buy. Their success is eternal, echoing far beyond temporary wealth. If you have ever sensed an inner longing for something more meaningful than worldly success, it is because your spirit recognizes a calling greater than riches, a divine purpose that surpasses the fleeting comforts of luxury. This is God's true definition of success: living fully and courageously in alignment with the purpose for which you were uniquely created. Childhood signs of a divine calling, hidden in plain sight. Childhood is a sacred stage of life, where the purest, most authentic version of ourselves emerges long before the world imposes its definitions of success or limitations. It is during these tender years that God often plants seeds of destiny, quietly placing signs of a divine calling within a child's heart. Yet tragically, most people overlook these early whispers, dismissing them as mere imagination, coincidence, or the naive dreams of youth. Consider Joseph, who experienced prophetic dreams as a boy, visions that revealed his future greatness. Yet, instead of being nurtured, he was met with jealousy and rejection. His brothers saw arrogance in those dreams. God saw purpose. Samuel, too, experienced a divine calling at a young age, hearing God's voice clearly, even though initially neither he nor Eli, the priest, fully grasped its meaning. Solomon, as a young man, was given wisdom surpassing his age, a clear indication of his divine assignment to lead with insight and understanding. Many of us share this experience, moments from childhood where our hearts resonated differently from our peers, times when we felt out of place because our dreams, passions, or gifts didn't align with worldly expectations. Perhaps you were drawn to spirituality while others chased popularity, felt compassion deeply in a world often indifferent, or held ideas and dreams that seemed beyond your years. Yet, society often dismisses these signs as mere childhood fantasies, encouraging conformity to standards measured by money, status, and material possessions. But nothing in God's plan is accidental. Every unique desire, every distinct gift placed in you from childhood serves as a divine marker, revealing glimpses of your greater purpose. Those early signs, those feelings of difference or moments of clarity, were intentional whispers from heaven, guiding you toward a calling bigger than worldly riches or temporary pleasures. Your childhood experiences were not coincidences. They were God's gentle whispers, guiding you toward a destiny uniquely crafted for your life. Recognizing these signs now can transform your understanding of every struggle and victory, illuminating the purpose that has been within you since your earliest days. Why the enemy targets the chosen early. Why some people seem to face relentless struggles, even from their earliest years, while others live seemingly untouched by adversity. This is no accident. It's a targeted attack from an enemy who recognizes destiny long before it becomes evident. From the earliest stages of life, those chosen by God often encounter intense opposition designed to discourage, weaken, and distract them from their divine purpose. Consider Moses. Before he could even speak, Pharaoh ordered the execution of all Hebrew baby boys, desperate to eliminate Israel's future deliverer. Or Jesus, who, as an infant, faced King Herod's ruthless massacre aimed specifically at silencing the Messiah before his light could shine into the darkness. These attacks reveal a spiritual reality. The enemy fears not the person you currently are, but the powerful impact you will have when fully aligned with God's purpose. Your hardships, struggles, rejections, and battles aren't random. They're strategic attempts by darkness to prevent you from stepping into your calling. The enemy doesn't attack those who pose no threat. He targets those marked for greatness. Perhaps you've experienced inexplicable challenges since childhood: rejection, betrayal, loneliness, or seemingly endless struggles. Know this: these attacks weren't meant to destroy you, but to derail your purpose. The enemy's greatest fear is that you'll discover your true identity and rise above the distractions of worldly success, money, luxury, and superficial achievements to fulfill a purpose greater than yourself. But here's the empowering truth: God never allows opposition without purpose. Every battle you've endured has strengthened you, shaped your character, and prepared you to carry the weight of your calling. The attacks aren't proof of weakness, they are evidence of your strength and potential. If the enemy has fought you fiercely, it's because he sees the impact you're destined to have. Embrace this truth, for recognizing it will free you from discouragement, igniting within you a powerful determination to step fully into your divine destiny. The development through trials. How God shapes the chosen. Every chosen life experiences a season of testing, a journey through the fires of hardship that shapes character, strengthens faith, and prepares the heart for divine destiny. To the world, struggles may seem like setbacks, evidence that something has gone wrong. But in God's hands, trials are never wasted. They are carefully orchestrated preparations for purpose. Consider Joseph, whose dreams of leadership and greatness were met with betrayal, slavery, and imprisonment. Each painful step he endured was not punishment but preparation, training him to govern Egypt with compassion, humility, and divine wisdom. David, anointed as king in his youth, spent years fleeing persecution and surviving in the wilderness before ever ascending to the throne. These harsh trials weren't meant to break him. They were divine training, building the courage and humility he would need to lead God's people. Even Moses, raised in the luxury and privilege of Pharaoh's palace, was driven into the wilderness for 40 years, stripped of earthly comfort, to learn total reliance on God alone. Many who are called wonder why their path has been marked by so much hardship and pain. They look around and question why others seem to achieve success easily, living comfortable lives filled with riches and luxury, while they struggle and suffer. But here's the divine truth: trials are not punishments, they're preparation. They shape you, mold you, and refine you into the person you were always meant to become. God never sends unprepared leaders into their purpose. He never gives untested warriors victory. Every challenge you have faced, every painful experience, every season of isolation has had purpose, equipping you to sustain the weight of your destiny. So, don't despise your hardships, embrace them. They're not proof that you've been forgotten. They're proof you've been set apart. God's greatest leaders have always been forged through adversity, strengthened in seasons of struggle, prepared in moments of pain. If your journey has been filled with difficulty, rejoice, because the magnitude of your trials is merely an indication of the greatness of your calling. Childhood gifts. Recognizing your divine abilities. Early. From the earliest moments of life, God begins to plant unique, powerful gifts within each chosen individual. Divine clues of the purpose they are destined to fulfill. Often, these gifts appear subtly, manifesting as unusual talents, deep compassion, or spiritual insight far beyond one's years. Samuel, as a young boy, heard the clear voice of God in a time when others heard only silence. Solomon displayed extraordinary wisdom even in youth, choosing understanding over material gain, and because of that, God granted him not just wisdom, but unparalleled prosperity. These gifts were not random, they were divine markers pointing directly to their calling. Similarly, the gifts placed within you since childhood were never accidental. Perhaps you've always had the ability to inspire and encourage others, felt drawn to helping the suffering, or possessed talents that others couldn't understand. Yet society often pressures people to ignore these divine abilities, pushing them instead toward wealth, luxury, and superficial measures of success. How many gifted people waste their lives chasing empty dreams defined by money, never realizing that their true fulfillment lies in serving a greater purpose? Your childhood gifts, those innate talents and passions, were never random. They were carefully placed within you by God Himself. If you've ever felt different, more sensitive, wiser, or uniquely driven towards spiritual or compassionate goals, it's because you were designed to do something significant for the kingdom. Your fulfillment won't come from accumulating wealth or status. It will flow from using those gifts to serve and uplift others, fulfilling the very mission for which you were created. Recognize these gifts, embrace them boldly, and watch how God transforms your potential into powerful purpose, bringing a fulfillment no amount of worldly success could ever provide. There comes a time when the chosen can no longer remain hidden, when the calling they've carried quietly within becomes undeniable. Moses left the luxury of Egypt, David stepped forward to face Goliath, and Jesus walked boldly into his mission. Their purpose overshadowed fear, their calling outweighed every temptation of worldly wealth and status. Today, it's your turn. Will you remain distracted by worldly pursuits, wealth, luxury, and temporary pleasures, or will you courageously embrace your divine destiny? Your struggles, your uniqueness, your isolation, they've all prepared you for this moment. God's call has always been there, whispering through the chaos of life. Now it's your turn. Will you answer? If this message resonates deeply with your soul, don't hesitate to share your thoughts in the comments. Declare your commitment, and if this touched your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Share this with someone who needs encouragement, someone who feels lost, someone waiting to discover their divine calling. Because when the chosen finally step into their purpose, the world changes forever.